MotoGP. Good morning and welcome to a beautiful race day here at the all-new Balaton Park circuit in Western Hungary. The Hungarian fans have had to wait an awful long time for this very day as we come back to this part of Central Europe for the first time in over 3 decades, 33 long years. Our last Grand Prix of Hungary took place at the Hungaroring all the way back in 1992. Let's hope it has been well worth the wait. Perfect weather conditions. What a day it is to return to Hungary for what is round 14 of this year's MotoGP World Championship. Marc Marquez ploughing towards his 6th MotoGP World title. 7th MotoGP World title, I should say, in service there for the 93, as he sits 152 points clear of brother Alex in the World Championship after he took another victory in the sprint on Saturday here yesterday in Balaton, and he will lead the field away from pole position. 26 laps will be the MotoGP battle later on this afternoon, 2 p.m. local time. Kicking off then our first Hungarian Grand Prix since Eddie Lawson took his last GP win on the Kajiva back in 1992. It's a 20-lap Moto3 battle around what is a pretty tight 4.08 kilometre, 2.53-mile circuit with one of the new stars in Moto3. It really has already lit up the Lightweight World Championship so far this year. On pole position, Aspar team rider number 28, Max Quiles. What an introduction it has been to World Champions. Second pole position, his first run in 6th though since Aragon, and he has shone bright so far this weekend here in Hungary. He has led Friday afternoon's practice, Saturday morning's practice, and crucially, he topped qualifying yesterday. 5 podiums in the last 7 for Quiles. He did have a tricky Saturday morning yesterday when he took a couple of falls at turns 9 and turns 15. He took pole position, a real super tight front row of the grid, just 900ths of a second covered Quiles. Valentin Peroni, who started the Austrian Grand Prix last weekend from pole, and our Spielberg winner Angel Pequeras, a much-needed victory for the Spaniard, who closed the gap on world champion Jose Antonio Rueda down to 71 points. Still very much this championship you feel in the hands of Rueda. He starts this Grand Prix down in 8th place on the grid. Having the pleasure of talking you through all of our first Grand Prix action in Hungary for such a long time. Matt Burton, Lewis Silverby in the commentary box, Jack Appleyard down in pit lane. Lewis, it's a day the Hungary fans, as we mentioned, have waited an awful long time for. We usually get our race days kicked off in pretty dramatic and tense and nail-biting fashion with Moto3. And judging by how close it was in the front row yesterday, we might get another spectacle here this morning.
Yeah, just a 1/10 of a second covered the top 4 in qualifying yesterday. 3 of those 4 were rookies. We did wonder coming here this weekend whether a brand new circuit, which no rider has any competitive experience of, could level the playing field and play into the hands of those rookie riders. Well, the golden rookie class of 2025 have launched something of a takeover this weekend. 4 of them start on the front 2 rows of the grid. Quiles, Peroni, Carpe and Guido Pini, with the World Championship leader for the 2nd Sunday in a row playing catch-up.
Peroni is the 2nd front row in succession after his brilliant pole last time out in Austria. He did briefly lead a Grand Prix for the very first time at the Red Bull Ring. 14th different rider to lead a Grand Prix already so far in 2025. There is your World Championship leader, just obscured out of picture right now, number 99, Jose Antonio Rueda. He's qualified out of the top 6 in 3 of the last 4. That has the 19-year-old Spaniard. Last weekend in Austria, only the 3rd time this year he's finished off the podium, and with a 4th in Mugello and an 8th place in Aragon. But he can afford a couple of average weekends, having built up such a commanding lead in the World Championship. 71 clear of Pequeras. Quiles on pole. He's in a pretty intense dogfight for what looks like being 3rd in the championship. Could be better in 2nd. David Munoz, Max Quiles and Alvaro Carpe, 3rd, 4th and 5th respectively in the standings. Well, they're all locked together on 139 points. That's exactly 100 adrift of series leader Rueda.
Yeah, 71 points sounds like a lot, but in Moto3 you can never be completely certain that Jose Antonio Rueda is going to run away with this World Championship. And it does seem as if Angel Piqueras is starting to gather a little bit of momentum at last into his World Championship challenge. It was the first time last weekend in Austria where he genuinely looked like the main man all weekend. It wasn't a smash and grab job on the Sunday as we saw from him in Argentina and in Qatar. He was genuinely one of the front runners throughout the weekend, and it has looked much the same here. Of course, he is in the midst of all those rookies at the front end of the grid. But Piqueras on these weekends where he does look stronger has to fully cash in and punish Rueda.
Round 4 ring his third win of the year for Piqueras, his first in 9 since we won the lights of the Sail International Circuit in Qatar. There he is then completing your front row of the grid. That is Piqueras heading row 3 in 7th place is the Aussie Jacob Rolston. He'll have big hopes of being in that podium fight in this 20 lap. Let's get the thoughts of Rolston news with Jack. Good morning, guys.
Yeah, he is indeed. Good morning to everybody at home. Jacob, wind a little bit stronger today. It feels it could be a pretty intense one around this tight and twisty Balaton Park circuit. What do you expect?
Yeah, good morning everyone. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. I am feeling really good, really confident. For sure, time management is going to be a big role in this race, but no, feeling good. The wind's a little bit less than yesterday. We made some changes to suit it a bit better, so feeling good. Yeah, I'm ready to get under racing.
Good luck, have fun.
Thank you, mate.
We are all ready to go racing once again here in Hungary. Thanks, Jack. Thanks to Jacob Rolston, the 28-year-old Australian, riding, of course, for Red Bull Tech 3. First time he's qualified top 10 in 5 since Magellan.
Here's Alvaro Carpe then, who starts from the front of row 2. Fair to say what has been a highly impressive rookie season has gone a little bit cold over the last couple of Grand Prix. Carpe 12th and 10th in the last 2 Grand Prix, which is why we're talking about him as the leading championship challenger to Jose Antonio Rueda 3 or 4 rounds ago. He is now in that 3-way battle for 3rd place in the World Championship, a battle which includes this man, David Munoz, one of those 3 riders, locked together on 139 points in the best podium run of his Grand Prix career.
Yeah, podiums in the last 4 for the 19-year-old Spaniard. In that run, he's had to do a lot of work because of the penalties. 46 positions he's gained in the last 4 Grand Prix, from his starting place to the finish on this fantastic run of form. 4 in a row, 6 in the last 8. All 8 finishes so far this year for Munoz have been top 6. Could be the first Spaniard to have 5 podiums in a row in Moto3 since Ethan Guevara when he won the championship all the way back in 2022. 2 Dynavolt Intact bikes on that second row, with rookie Guido Pini looking strong in 6th.
To Italian TV there on the second row of the grid was Pini. Of course, he was one of our many pole sitters that we've had over the course of this season. 9 of them in total. Pini was on pole back at Brno. So we're expecting him to be firmly in that leading battle. He's on run of 3 consecutive top 10s.
As you can see on screens, Marcos Uriarte, who continues to replace Matteo Bertelli in level of MTA, qualified 15th on the grid yesterday, did Uriarte, but he's at the back of the grid. Slow online, a 3rd offence, a big slap on the wrist then for Uriarte. He is at the back. Heading row 2 then is Alvaro Carpe. Can he get himself back in podium contention? Let's get his thoughts with Jack.
Alvaro, a couple of races without us seeing you on the podium, which was unusual at the start, but this one looks to be an interesting one. There's going to be plenty of aggressive moves, I imagine. Ready for it?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, for sure will be very interesting race with I'm sure many overtakes this in this small track, and I don't know, we are the first time here. It's the first race, it's the first Moto3 race ever. I don't know how we'll manage, but I hope well. I hope to be on the first part of the group, on the front part. Yeah, happy to be back on the first position, not in like Austria or Brno that we were struggling a little bit more. But yeah, the wind now is pushing a little bit more. But we'll see. Also the tire stroke will be difficult.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks to the 18-year-old Alvaro Carpe. Excellent season so far. Points in 12 of 13, 3 podiums for Carpe in Buriram, Aragon, and most recently in Mugello. Well, then Max Quiles has looked in fantastic form all weekend. A couple of blips, a couple of crashes yesterday morning. That aside, when he's been upright and on two wheels on the Aspar machine, he has been lightning quick. Big favourite going into this 20-lap Hungarian Grand Prix. Let's get the thoughts of his boss, Nico Jack.
Nico, last weekend you called him Killer Keyless. Well, Max is going to have to be aggressive today with all of these hard braking zones, but he looks super strong throughout practice. Confident for this one?
Yeah, for sure we are super confident with the maximum performance. He did a very good job all weekend. Now it's time to race. We know what happens sometimes in Moto3, but anyway, he has a very good pace. We'll be see at the beginning of the race he have his pace, and then we'll be see to prepare the last 5 laps. But anyway, we have a lot of confidence to do Maximo a very good job today.
You think he could break away, or are you expecting a pack fight?
The idea is to try this, but in Moto3 you never know, because with the slipstream it's difficult to go, but we try at the beginning of the race. It's possible to go much more, but anyway in Moto3, like I say, it's difficult, but we try.
Good luck.
Yeah, Maximo set to go to the maximum then here in Moto3. Can he then? Aspar feel that maybe he has the potential to break away at the front. Unbelievable start to his Grand Prix career. 5 podiums in the last 7. He's led 7 of his 9 Grand Prix already so far this year. Now we just saw it's beautiful, beautiful day here in Balaton. Clear blue skies, but there's a bit of wind around once again, Jack.
Yeah, strong tailwinds down the start-finish straight, but more importantly, that means there's going to be a strong headwind down the back straight, which is going to be pretty costly for the likes of Max Keyless, who, as you heard from Nico feels he potentially does have the pace to get away. That headwind is going to make it very, very difficult for him to do so.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Really only 2 straights here to talk about around this compact Balaton Park circuit. The start finish straight, of course, out of 17, and Hardner breaks into turn 1, and then as you power out of turn 4, approaching down into turn 5, one of several incredibly hard braking zones, dominated really by low gear acceleration points and hard braking zones, is this Balaton Park circuit.
There are places to overtake around this circuit. The rider you just saw on screen, Tyre Forosato, will certainly find them. 17th up to 9th in Austin, 12th to 2nd in Qatar, and 15th to 6th last weekend in Austria, where with 3 corners to go, we all thought that Forosato was on the brink of his maiden Grand Prix victory. He fell narrowly short, but after coming through qualifying 1 yesterday, Forosato has been able to put himself on the back of the 4th row.
And a big crash though, didn't he, in turn 1 at Q2 yesterday. That was a nasty old high side for the 20-year-old Japanese rider. Stopped the Rots in the Red Bull Ring last time out. 6 in Austria was his first points in 4 since the Italian Grand Prix in Mugello. Front row then for this Moto3 battle here in Hungary. Angel Figueras, our most recent winner, a 3-time winner already in 2025. He goes from 3rd place on the grid. Front row once again for the impressive, the vastly improved Valentin Peroni, who really has found top form of late, has Peroni. But he's the big pre-race favourite. He's the new superstar of the Moto3 World Championship in many respects, isn't he? The rookie Max Keyless has been quality all weekend so far, and he fires away from pole here at the Balaton Park circuit.
So for the first time in 33 years, it's time to go racing on a Sunday in Hungary. Max Keyless starts from his 2nd career pole ahead of Valentin Peroni and Angel Figueras, going for back-to-back wins to ignite his World Championship challenge. Alvaro Carpe, he lines up 4th ahead of informed David Munoz, with Guido Pini ensuring that 4 rookie starts on the front 2 rows. In 6th, Jacob Wilson 7th from championship leader Jose Antonio Reda, 8th on the grid for the 2nd Sunday in a row. Adrian Fernandez completes row 3. Almanza, Foggia and Forosato on the 4th row ahead of Nicola Carraro, Joe Kelso, and of course completing that victory with Marcus Uriarte's absence is Scott Ogden, Yamanaka, Rossi and O'Gorman next up. Cormac Buchanan, who celebrated his 19th birthday yesterday, he starts 19th ahead of Ruche Ridley and Eddie O'Shea. Arbi Aditama, Noah Dekvila, Leonardo Abruzzo and Stefano Neffa take us down to 25th, with Marcus Uriarte booted to the back of the grid after slow riding in practice.
First time then since 1992 we get a warm-up lap underway here in the Grand Prix of Hungary. 20 laps coming your way, and what's turning out to be the Moto3 World Championship, which right now is firmly in the hands of Jose Antonio Rueda. Last weekend in Austria was our 1000th Premier Class Grand Prix. Today the 250th Moto3 battle since it all began back in Qatar in 2012. Of course, It's still a relative journey into the unknown around Hungary. The riders have been on a dry track Friday and Saturday, but this their first chance to really attack and go for it in race mode at this Balaton Park circuit. So that will throw up a few question marks about the Pirelli tyre choices, and I believe it's a bit of a mixed bag, Lewis.
Yeah, every single combination of medium, soft, medium, etc. is on the grid. In terms of the riders at the front, 5 of the top 6 on the grid have gone for the medium front, soft rear combination, except Balaton Pironi second on the grid, medium front and rear. We've got the Leopard Honda of Adrian Fernandez, who's gone soft front, medium rear, and David Almanza right behind him has got medium front and rear. So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Of course, it's all been about learning and gathering data and knowledge for the Moto3 riders throughout this weekend. Quiles then coming to a pole position for the second time in his Grand Prix career. On pole position in just his second ever Grand Prix start at Le Mans. He was on the podium for the first time in just his third Grand Prix. He really is one to watch for the future. That is Quiles. He'll be wary though, there were a couple of crashes yesterday morning which would have just dented that confidence a little bit. Still though able to find that 146.060, which just about snatched pole position. Pironi was very close to making it back-to-back poles, wasn't he, yesterday for Red Bull KTM Tech 3. Pironi got a great run of form, pointed him 10 in a row, which includes 6 top 10s. Really strong as the 17-year-old Argentinian. Does history beckon for him here today? There's never been an Argentinian rider win a lightweight world championship race. Is 20 years and a little bit more now since Sebastian Porto won the 250cc Battle of Assen all the way back in 2005. All further back than that to find out the last time we had Grand Prix action here in Hungary. The fans are on their feet, they're full of expectation, they're full of anticipation, just as we are, with the green flag then cleared at the back. A historic race day here in Hungary about to get underway. Lights out, we're racing in Moto3 here in Balaton. It's a great start from pole position by Max Quiles. Likewise from third place on the grid for the 36 bike of Piqueras. Pironi's going the wrong way. Carpe tries to go the long way around the outside of Piqueras into that first corner. That's not going to work out. He's right out to the white line there, wasn't he, Carpe? But it's Quiles and the lead. Contact between Munoz and Piqueras.
Yeah, Rueda has made a couple of places up. I think he's in 6th place at the moment. The rider who had a shocker off the line was Guido Pini. He's the rider to drop backwards.
That looked like Ralston was getting really busy and aggressive on the inside. How about another rider going through turn 4? I think Ralston from 7th has already gone up into 5th. He has indeed. Excellent start for the Aussie.
Quiles then, we've got to line up a bit of a move there from Balaton Pironi. Reminders on the medium rear tyre. He's staying behind. That's Pini recovering. He's going back through on Rueda. So Rueda, having made some initial progress, looks like he's back where he started again. Yeah,
Munoz got back through on Ralston on the brakes into turn 5. So Munoz trying to recover a bit of lost ground after it was his front tyre and Piqueras' rear tyre going through too.
Kelso up a few places, he's gained some ground, he's up into 12th place. Adrian Fernandez, he has gone backwards off the line, 9th down to 13th place, not getting much change out of that medium rear yet.
Out of 11 we go then, they'll attack now hard on the brakes into the second of the 3 chicanes here in Balaton. Into 12 and 13 we go, this real tight complex, left and then right. Quiles it is that leads from Pironi in second place. As you were now in terms of your front row, Quiles, Pironi versus Piqueras.
Still 5th, and Pini's dropped one, of course, behind Ralston. Then it's Rueda 8th, Almanza and Foggia completes the top 10 into the final chicane then of 15 and 16, and then this left-hander of 17. Is it all going to come down to this? In 19 laps time, we complete the first lap of 20, and at the moment, Pironi very much staying with Quiles.
Quiles has had a perfect first lap. He leads over the line by a tenth and a half. Munoz trying to pick up some slipstream on that short run down into the first corner, not close enough to attack Carpe. Ralston then up from 7th to 6th on that opening lap, going on to darting towards the inside line now, going through turn 2 with Munoz.
Tight inside line there for Pironi. He was seeing if a spot would open up to duck up the inside of Quiles, but that spot didn't open up. We're onto the back straight now where, as Jack told us, we've got something of a headwind here, and that might play into the hands of the 73.
What about Rusai Yamanaka on the podium for just the 3rd time last by Max Spielberg? He's down in 16th place. Tough weekend so far for Yamanaka. Up 1 place to 17th on that opening lap. Piqueras then now just trying to make sure he doesn't let Keyless and Pironi break away at the front. There's clear daylight here, isn't there, between Keyless and Pironi. As Spark said, they felt that Keyless had the potential to break the field early. He's certainly getting his head down and trying.
Keras is trying to chip away at that, though, through the second sector. He was able to nick a tenth back of the top two. But Keyless, despite being so young and inexperienced, he's quite experienced already at leading Grand Prix. Only Jose Antonio Rueda has led more laps than him this year.
Strong first lap for Marcus Uriarte. He was dumped at the back of the grid for slow online earlier on this weekend. He's picked up 6 spots already as Uriarte from 26 into 20th place, so he was ultra aggressive on that first lap. Nobody told Uriarte how tough it was to overtake here in Balaton.
Have a look at here in the top left corner of your screen. This was Munoz getting busy and swinging into the back there for Keras. Of course, they wouldn't make contact later on around that first lap as we now complete lap 2, and it looks like Piqueras has chipped away at this. Yeah, he's faster. The fastest lap of the race to Munoz on a 46.0, but Piqueras and Munoz are both quicker than the 2 rookies who are blazing a trail at the front.
Some pace early on here by Munoz. That would have put him on pole position yesterday. 46.30. That is 300s faster than Keyless' pole time. So it's blistering early speed here in Balaton. Keyless, Piqueras and Munoz, all 3 of them close together, set fastest laps of the Grand Prix. But that is electric. Dynamite early pace from Munoz.
Keyless set a new all-time lap record on Saturday morning of a 45.8, but that was not quite for pole position. As Keyless now overshoots. We're looking at Rueda trying to come through on Ralston, but it looks like Keyless lost the lead there. He overshot turn 5, and Pironi does move through.
Such an easy mistake to make. You have to be millimetre perfect, rock solid on the front end, otherwise you're going to go charging in. He's immediately though got the lead back. That was a short-lived experience for Pironi at the front of this battle. He did lead for 1 lap last time out in Spielberg, did Pironi. First time he's ever led a Grand Prix. He led that one for about, what, 50 yards?
Well, that certainly has done, though, has brought Keras and Munoz right onto the tail of this top 2 now. Any hope of this top 2 pulling away early has now been very much quashed with that mistake from Keyless into turn 5. Clearly didn't give up the lead voluntarily, otherwise he would have stayed behind Pironi. He was keen to immediately get back to the front of the field again.
Rueda working his way forward, the world champion leader. He has taken 7th place away from Ralston. So he's starting to now get his claws into Pini, the rookie, directly ahead of him. Corosato's got himself up into the top 10 for the first time in this Grand Prix. He's picked off Foggia.
Imagine Pironi out of the riders in his leading group will be more than happy just to sit on the rear tyre of Keyless if he can. To remind you of the riders right at the front of the race, Pironi is on the medium rear tyre, everyone else is on the soft. So Pironi's clearly banking on some grip advantages in the latter stage of this race with so many acceleration zones and chicanes as the top 2 go side by side again.
Fastest rider in the lead group is Pini. He's just falling in a 146.099. That's half a second faster than your race leader Keyless. In turn, that is dragging Rueda also along with the Italian. You'll see them there on the 94 and the 99 bikes. Carpe's gone back, hasn't he?
Carpe's now behind Pini, into 6th place as Keyless on that inside line. I think Keyless might have gone a little bit wide into turn 1 at the start of this lap, which put Pironi up alongside him because Keyless was defending into turn 2. But we've got a leading group of 8 at the front of this race with Ralston just tagging on. Adrian Fernandez on the first of the Leopard Hondas is nearly 2 seconds further back.
Munoz, that's lovely. He's got through the 2nd place. Through on Pironi he goes. Down into turns 9 and 10. That was a brilliant move by Munoz. They go now through 11. Pini, I just mentioned him. How fast, well, he's the fastest rider in this league group, dispense of the 83 of Carpe. Now he really is charging up towards this podium battle, this Pini. Italian in 5th.
So intact riders 2nd and 5th now, and I think many looked at this track layout before we came here on Friday and said, this looks like a bit of David Munoz, this one. It's a scrappers kind of circuit, this one, and David Munoz is perhaps the biggest scrapper in Moto3.
Hungarian Championship, potentially another 4-point swing going back in favour of Piqueras at the top of the championship. Of course, at the moment, the top 2 in this Grand Prix, Keyless and Munoz, they're exactly 100 points coming into this 250th Moto3 race trip of Rueda. So then we move on to lap 5 of 20. It's Keyless, Munoz, Pironi are your top 3. Piqueras, Pini, Carpe is your top 6. Rueda's really starting to find some speed now. That successive laps where the world champion leader has found his best laps of the Grand Prix, 146.348. Once again, the quickest of the top group is Pini, as we've lost Eddie O'Shea in early race retirement.
Yeah, he's been been told to retire. He's had the black and orange flag somewhere, so he's either had some smoke coming out of his bike or some bodywork hanging off, and I think it might be the former of those two. So Eddie O'Shea, our first retirement.
So there's a clear detachment here, a clear break. As Rueda now goes on the inside of Carpe. That's on the brakes into turn 5. So Carpe is just struggling for pace in this sort of early juncture. Because now he's been picked off for 6th place. There's a gap then now back between the top 8 and Adrian Fernandez on the 31 bike, the Leopard Honda. At 1.7 seconds, Fernandez adrift of Ralston. So it looks like the podium fight is between 8.
Keras is through on Peroni then for 3rd up the inside into turn number 9. So the 36 back into 3rd place. That would eke him out an extra 3 points from where he was over Rueda, although Rueda of course did gain 1 by passing Carpe, so it's toing and froing, chopping and changing in terms of the points advantage. And Keras needs to gain every little last point he can if he's to keep this championship going to Valencia in November.
You know how Keras loves to get his business done late on. 3 wins so far this year, but he's only led for 4 laps all season. Just gives you indication of how strong he comes on late in these Grand Prix. Through 17 we go then. This will be the end of lap 6 of 20. Over at the line we go. Lap 5 of 20 rather completed. Yeah, Quiles into the 45s. So too are Munoz, Keras, Pini is able to go into the 49s as well. Well, that's some hot pace. That feels like a statement lap coming in early from Quiles. 45.76 for a quarter of a second clear of Munoz he was over the line.
That is the fastest lap of the entire Moto3 weekend so far. Quicker than Quiles went on Saturday morning, which was the all-time lap record around here on a Moto3 bike. But it isn't shaking David Munoz off just yet. 28 continues to lead 64.
Just looking at that gap then now between sort of Rueda and Carpe. Already crept up to a quarter of a second after Rueda got through on his Red Bull KTM teammate on that previous lap. Peroni all over the rear tyre of Keras, tripping up almost on the rear tyre of Keras as they went through turn 10.
Keras then, he's already done one of these, 2nd lap in a row into the 9-10 chicane. Clearly Keras' favourite passing point. He's now back on the tail of Quiles in 2nd again.
Keras then up into 2nd, close. Oh, he's got to be careful. There was just a little bit of a bobble there as he was aggressive on the left-hander, going through 11.
Rueda's struggling to go with this group. Look at the gap opening up behind Pini in 5th. Can't see Rueda at the moment. You'll see him just coming to view there. The pace that's being really driven by Quiles into the 45s. It looks like it's too fast a pace at the moment for the Red Bull KTM duo. Both Rueda and Carpe getting detached.
This is the biggest lead that Quiles has had as well. As we come through 15-16, 3/10 of a second, he built a lead up over for Keras going through that 3rd sector. He's trying to get on with work here, isn't he, Quiles? We've got great drive as well coming out of 17 on that previous lap. Keras was still 3/10 of a second fast driving, also had to negotiate his way through on Munoz. So there's nothing wrong with the rhythm of Keras right now.
I think we've got 3 riders down in the final chicane somewhere. Ogden, Yamanaka and Uriarte were all dropping down the leaderboard on the left-hand side of your screen a moment ago. Yeah, Ogden has crashed out, clearly with Yamanaka. They were running in the tail end of the points. They were 16th and 17th.
This lead group of 8 is really starting to break up now. We've got a lead group of 5 now. Quiles, Keras, Munoz, Peroni and Pini. And there's nearly a second back to Rueda, who has just fired in his best lap of the Grand Prix, a 146.1, which is podium pace, but he hasn't just lost crucial ground or too much already. He's got a buffer of a second back to Ralston. I'll tell you who is struggling is Carpe. Carpe's back in the 47s very early on in this Grand Prix. We saw Carpe on the fringes of the top 3 right at the start of this Grand Prix. He's now been picked off by Ralston and he's suffering in 8th.
Yeah, he's in danger of reversing back towards the group being led by Adrian Fernandez. We've got the 2 Hondas, 2 leading Hondas, Fernandez and Forosato, 9th and 10th, both setting personal best. Of course, they came, or certainly Forosato did in the end, from a long, long way back to join the leading group in Austria a week ago. I think it would take something even more impressive for them to get into the leading battle this time.
Ogden has remounted on the CIP Green Power machine. Oh!
Yeah, he goes down, and Uriarte and Yamanaka both go off into the gravel to avoid the break. That is so easily done in the middle of these tight, twisty chicanes.
Top job by both Uriarte and Yamanaka. Cat-like reflexes there as once again. Quiles is so good in this final section. Might have been on the green there a little bit. On the outside of turn 17 we go then. That's Quiles that leads by half a second Nothing between Keyless and Peroni's lap times, 146.2. But it's that fourth sector where Keyless is really cashing in.
It's because the group behind him have been carving each other up. Munoz took the Keras into the third sector, and then Peroni passed both of them in the fourth sector of the lap, which has enabled that gap to balloon out behind Keyless. These four riders that are chasing him need to just call a bit of a truce here, and if they're not careful, Keyless is going to have the front of the race all to himself.
4 or 5 laps in succession now. Rueda, as Pini goes really wide on the exit of 4. Rueda, another fastest lap of the Grand Prix for him, at 146.092. Of your top 6, Rueda the quickest by some distance, quarter of a second faster than both Keyless and Peroni, 0.6 quicker than Keras and Munoz.
Crucial moments these, with the gap at half a second. We know how good Keras is. It's through those rights, isn't it? It's through the fast rights of 7 and 8. He was already alongside. I think he was right around the outside there of Peroni. He was. Keras back into second place. He is so good through the fast right-handers at 7 and 8, and that's bringing him right back into the fray again.
Got to make sure that they don't keep bumping and barging each other around here, just to give Keyless an easy run, a free run at the front of this Grand Prix. Just keeping a close eye on Rueda. The gap between him and Pini, who's in 5th place. There is Pini on the number 94 bike as they charge now through towards 15 and 16 through high speed at turn 14 there. That will all be top gear on a Moto3 bike. Keyless once again, how good is he through that final chicane, 15, 16, and then hard left he goes through 17, grabs a handful of throttle on that Aspar KTM, and over the line he comes. Yeah, Keyless still keeping himself in the 45s. Only rider out on circuit right now in the 45s is Keyless. Now that he's trying to break away here, isn't he? 7/10 clear of Keras.
Yeah, Rueda just about hanging on in the back of the picture to 6th. I guess he'll be saying, yeah, Max, you're more than welcome to go and take the 25 points as long as you stop Angel Keras from scoring them. Behind that group, Ralston's doing 47s. Carpe pretty much in the 47s himself. Fernandez and Foressato have now caught that pair.
Out of 4 we go. Another hard braking zone, another opportunity maybe to attack for both Munoz and Peroni on Keras. Munoz is certainly going for it. He's got the inside line through on the 73 of Peroni. Hard in the braking zone for turn 5. So Munoz back into P3.
And this is the stage of the lap where Keras is so strong. Look at the gap that's already opening up behind Keras, back to Munoz and Peroni, and it looks like Keras is closing this down up to Keyless partway through this lap. Yeah, it's down to 0.4 of a second. He's taken 0.3 off Keyless already halfway through this lap.
Brilliant lap by Keras as they now go through turn 11. We build up for a squirt of acceleration, a dart towards turns 12 and 13. There was Peroni. Been in this victory battle right from the get-go. He briefly led, didn't he, when there was a mistake early on by Keyless. Aside from that, Keyless has been doing all of the front running, all the legwork at the front of this Grand Prix.
The poor day for the MLab team gets even worse. Leonardo Bruzzo has a long lap penalty. Generally, what we've seen already this weekend, if you get a long lap penalty here, it's due to a shortcut. He's gone across the chicane at turn 10.
Well, what was a 7/10 lead at the start of the last lap for Keyless over Keras, it was going to shrink considerably. Yeah, Keras found half a second. Personal best lap from Keras at 145.825, bettered by Munoz, who shows Keras his front wheel on the brakes into the first corner. Brilliant lap that by Munoz at 145.7. Keyless back himself into those low 146s. Now that's not a slow or a sluggish pace, it's just that Keras and Munoz directly behind him up the ante.
Personal best lap 2 for Rueda in 6th. He's hoping, like last weekend, that the race comes to him in the latter stages. 146.0 for him. He was a quarter of a second quicker than Keyless last time around. Peroni's now attacking Munoz into turn 5. He's going to elbow him aside, and the rookie back onto the podium again.
Fair play. That was Peroni making a Munoz move on Munoz, wasn't it? They were locking elbows on that braking zone. There's a pretty intense fight raging further down for 7. Ralston versus Carpe versus Fernandez versus Foressato. Those 4 rather, are covered by less than half a second.
Interesting into this turn 11 as Keyless goes wide there. He favours a tighter inside line into turn 11, perhaps because he's wider out of turn 10. It might be a bit of a trump card for him on the final lap. There's not going to be much way through into that corner. We're into that final sector. Turns 16 and 15 and 16, this chicane could be where this is all decided if it goes down to the final lap.
This has been an excellent lap 10 for Adrian Fernandez, because he's picked off both Carpe and now Ralston. So it's Fernandez that's got himself to the head of that big second group. At the front, Quiles, Piqueras.
Oh, he's in hot.
That's another big mistake by Quiles. Just look how much time that has cost him. Not just time, but positions going into 15 and 16. Sector 4, he's been so red hot in this Grand Prix. That was a massive mistake by Quiles. He drops into a 147.1. He lost a second compared to Pironi with that big error. Immediately fights back on the inside of Munoz though into 1, but he was back in 4th place. Is he going to be back in 4th place right now? Could be even 5th as Munoz fights back, going through 2. It is Pini has got the inside line now. Then on Quiles, they lean on each other going through 3. This has been a horrible end to lap 10 and start of lap 11 for Quiles.
While that was all happening, Pironi took Piqueras to regain the lead again into turn 1. Piqueras has a good long look at the big screen. The problem Quiles had there into the chicane is he had to try and make the corner, because if he shortcutted it, he had to lose a second, and that would have cost him even more time. So he had to try and get around the corner. It cost him 3 places.
You can see just the back of your picture there, Fernandez has got through into 7th place, getting worse for Carpe and Ralston, because they've now been picked off by Forasato.
Of course, if Quiles had gone straight through the chicane there, he'd have to drop 1 second. That would have effectively put him right at the back of this entire group, behind Pini and potentially behind Rueda too. So he had no option there but to try and make the chicane.
Yeah, and he went charging in hot to make an instant move back on Munoz, which set him on the wider, slower line on the entry then to turn 2, which allowed Munoz to sweep straight back through. Oh, Pini, feet on the foot pegs. He had his heart in his mouth there, didn't he? In that braking zone, down through 9 and 10. That was really close.
He was all arms and legs there, wasn't he? Trying to get the bike stopped. He just about got it stopped. It was nearly Max Quiles' Asphalt KTM that stopped him. He's nearly ran straight into the back of him, and Rueda, looking for every last point he can pick up out of this Grand Prix, is more than happy to snatch away that 5th place.
Well, we've talked about how small mistakes get punished big time here in Balaton Park, and clear evidence there. Exhibit A is Guido Pini, who comes over the line at 147.9. He lost well over a second with that big moment going into the second chicane. Rueda says thank you very much, and now Jose Antonio Rueda is just starting to ghost back towards this victory battle. Do not discount Rueda. We know how good he is on worn rubber.
Is this Grand Prix just starting to swing towards Pironi though? Remember, he's on the medium rear tyre. Everyone else in this leading group that you're looking at are on the soft rear tyre. Pironi's kept his powder quite dry so far. Is he now going to make a decisive break?
Second time then in this race he has led. Second time over the line he's led in his Grand Prix career. He is on course for history. An Argentinian rider has never won a lightweight world championship battle 20 years ago. Since Sebastian Porto was victorious in 250s in Assen, Piqueras just showing his front wheel into 9 and 10.
It's that run again through 8 that Piqueras gets. He closed down a pretty decent advantage and was almost right up alongside Pironi by the time they got into turn 9. But Pironi holds the lead for now. Quiles has regrouped to a certain extent. He's still sitting there in 4th place. Rueda half a second back. All moves that Rueda really has made so far have been mistakes that have handed him positions. He hasn't really been able to go on the attack so far.
Further back, Nicola Carrara's taken 14 from Casey O'Gorman. O'Gorman at the moment on course for what will be his first World Championship point scoring finish, replacing Luca Lunetta at 6:58 squad for a quarter, so that's an excellent ride so far by Gorman. He's got a big gap back to Cormac Buchanan actually in 16th spot. The lead quartet then, Power out of the final corner. It's Pironi on the Power, looking superb at the moment at the front of this Grand Prix. 146.7 is matched by Piqueras. Nothing between Pironi's lap times, Piqueras and Munoz, but it's the faster of that top 4. It is Quiles, but the rider who's got the real good pit speed right now is Rueda, 46.2. Half a second quicker than Pironi, Piqueras and Munoz. He is right there in the game.
Is this race starting to come to the World Championship leader, who we haven't seen a lot of through much of this weekend, but we might be seeing plenty of him in the final 8 laps of this Grand Prix. There he is on the 99, now up behind Quiles. Did Quiles perhaps push his tyres a little bit too hard as he was leading in those early stages? Munoz through on Piqueras, that's for 2nd place.
It's fair to say now, through the big mistake a couple of laps ago, that Guido Pini is slipping out of contention for his first World Championship podium. Power now through turn 8, dropping down the brakes, dropping down the gearbox into 9 and 10. Pironi, this is the longest he's been at the front at World Championship level. This is uncharted territory as far as Pironi's concerned at the front. Uncharted territory, of course, for the entire field. We've never completed a race here in Balaton Park. We lost Buchanan, unfortunately. We've lost out of contention. He was running in 16th place, unfortunately. Buchanan has ticked off the Boeing Motorsports KTM more than probably what he should have done in his rookie season.
Down turn 5, we've lost Buchanan as Keyless is getting the information of who's behind him. I think he only cares about who's in front of him at the moment, although Rueda is looking at an increasing threat in this Grand Prix. Let's see what kind of lap times they're now doing. Remember, they were doing high 45s early on in this Grand Prix. Last time around, they were doing high 46s. 73 of Pironi across line, 146.8. And once again, fastest rider of the top 5 was Rueda.
Yeah, the pace is slackening off here as the tyres are starting to get worn and abused. It doesn't seem that long ago when we were sort of in the high 145s in this Grand Prix. It is then Pironi through 3 and 4 he goes. Closest challenger is still Munoz, well set for his 5th successive podium finish. What a burst of form it's been for Munoz to get himself into top 3 competition in the World Championship. Power now out of 4. On the brakes we go into turn 5. On board with Rueda, not close enough to attack Keyless on this occasion.
See Pini just in the background. He needs to be a little bit careful. He doesn't reverse back towards Adrian Fernandez, who's doing 46.4s. He's actually the fastest rider on track now, Fernandez, on the Leopard Honda in 7th. Reminder, he's another rider on the medium rear tyre, and he's taking half-second lap out of Pini.
That little battle further back between O'Gorman and Carraro's back in the hands of the Irish rider. Keyless now through, up into 3rd place after the big move on Piqueras. That was going through 9 and 10. That was lovely. Really, really nice work that by Keyless. So 6.5 laps to go here in Hungary. Keyless back into the podium spots.
So we've got plenty of time to rectify this as Keyless after his mistake, which nearly cost him a lot. Pini once again, second time we saw him nowhere near the apex of the chicane through turns 12 and 13. He went straight across the gravel trap, and now he has to make sure he loses a second, otherwise he'll be heading through the long lap penalty loop.
It's been a messy all. Piqueras was ready to run in hot there, wasn't he? Going into the chicane into 15 and 16, just about got the KTM stopped. He's wide there on the green coming out of that final corner as well as Piqueras, so he's going to have to be wary of track limits as well late on in this Grand Prix. Pironi now back down to a mid 146, so too is Munoz. Keyless though, well, he was half a second faster than Piqueras on that last lap. That shows you why he was able to get through on his fellow Spaniard, as Piqueras again has a twitch going through 3.
I think Pini might be in trouble with a penalty for that, because he did do a 47.6. He was the second slower than the leaders, but he was doing those kind of lap times anyway before he served that penalty. So Pini might soon find himself back in that group with Moy Fernandez and Carpe. Carpe, curiously, has just set his personal best lap of the race, despite being back in 8th.
Yeah, disappeared from this lead group rather rapidly, didn't he, Carpe, at one stage, but at the moment, the only rider ahead of him on circuit who was quicker on that last lap was Keyless. Who started from pole position. Here is Pironi, who looks just so cool, so calm, doesn't he? So collected as he slides the rear of the KTM. Pini indeed does have a long lap penalty. It was a great spot by Lewis, so Pini will have to come through the long lap penalty loop. So 2 or 3 laps ago, we thought Pini was in with a great shot of the podium, but it was all unravelled. Big start for the Italian.
The penalty that Pini's got is for exceeding track limits. It's not for a shortcut, so he might get a couple of them. In fact, it's all irrelevant now. I think he's crashed trying to serve the long lap.
Yeah, that's on the outside of the long lap at 11. So just when you thought your day couldn't go from bad to worse anymore, it did, as far as Pini is concerned. At the front from Pini, we go to Pironi, your race leader, making his way through turns 15 and 16. The left-hander of 70 now, before he gets on the power and charges towards the start-finish line. Once again, Pironi leads. He's a couple of tenths clear of Munoz. Keyless there, still in 3rd spot. He's only 1 of 5, isn't it, for the win here? The first Hungarian win since 1992. Pironi, Munoz, Keyless, Piqueras and Rueda. Rueda's been locked in that 5th place for quite some time now. He's been not able to make any further progress. Is he just keeping some life in that Pironi rubber for a late attack?
Nico Tirol, the Aspar team manager, did tell, Jack, on the grid that Keyless was going to try and do his pace and then see where we're at in the final 5 laps. Well, where he's at is 3rd place, looking to try and turn that now into 2nd at the inside of David Munoz, 2 riders who love to go on the attack. But Keyless has managed to secure that one, and Munoz is unable to fight back.
That's nice move that by Keyless. Not an easy move to make at the end of that straight, the back straight going into turn 5. And further back, Adrian Fernandez with Pini's exit has gone up into the top 6. Carpe 7 for Osato, 8. Now Mansa's in 9th place. Joel Kelso, after a pretty tough weekend here in Hungary, starting 14th, has now got himself up inside the top 10.
Fernandez then now at the front of that chase group, ahead of Carpe and Furusato. Then we've got Almanza, as mentioned, in 9th place there. They're not going to get anywhere near this group there. 4.5 seconds adrift. It is permanently a 5-way battle. Peroni and Keyless, the 2 rookies who've impressed us so much through this season. Keyless has had much more on the limelight. He's done a lot more podium finishing than Peroni, but there's no question that Tech 3 have unearthed a little bit of a gem in the Argentine. Can the 73 claim his breakthrough victory here?
He's done a fair share of winning of late in Moto3, haven't they, Tech 3, with Danny Holgado. They're polishing another rough diamond here, aren't they, in Peroni. Over at the line we go. Peroni leads now by 0.3 of a second as they charge now in the heavy braking zone for turn 1. Vibration, bit of chatter there on the front end of Peroni's 73 KTM.
Sure, Munoz's KTM was pointing in the right direction there into turn 1, but he did somehow get it stopped. Yeah, 3/10 doesn't sound like a lot, but in Moto3 it is quite a lot. Yellow flags have come out in the 1st sector behind this leading train. Looks like someone's gone down into turn number 1. We'll try and find who's dropping down. It's Tayo Furusato out of 8th place.
And that's going to be for the 4th race in 5. No points as far as Furusato is concerned. He had the big high side, didn't he, in 1 yesterday in Q2. Look at this by Peroni. He has just looked so good at the front of this Grand Prix. Hobbling away goes Furusato. Now, clearly, he's...
on top of the road by somebody.
There was some gesturing there, wasn't there, from the normally placid and very mild-mannered Tayo Furusato. I don't think we can say the same of his temperament right now, because he's lost his temper big style by the looks of it.
He's usually as quiet as a church mouse is Furusato, but clearly not on this occasion. So 3.5 laps to go, and Peroni could be looking pretty smart there with that medium rear tyre on. Is that the one that's going to make the difference for him? He's perhaps banking on having that little bit extra rear grip, getting out of some of those slow speed chicanes and hairpins around this racetrack. If you can just punch it out of there with the superior rear grip, then Keyless is going to be in no position to attack it.
Fascinating to see what's going through the mind here of Rueda in 5th place. The world championship lead, of course, a lot more to lose potentially, or any of the four directly ahead of him. But has he just kept something in his pocket for a late charge? 3 laps to go then here in Hungary. It is still Peroni that has an advantage of just under 0.3 of a second. Keyless pushing the front of that KTM hard on the brakes into the 1st corner. We've got a lack of adhesion flag waving there in the background at the 1st corner.
So is Furusato perhaps indicating that he crashed on something into turn 1? Wasn't the marshals he was having a bit of a shout at down at turn 1? No rider went down on anything, fortunately, there into turn 1. But yeah, that's something to occupy the minds and the vision of the riders as they approach turn 1.
Now then away, they're desperately trying to pick up some slipstream here behind Piqueras as they power out of turn 4. Once again, though, he's not going to be close enough. Showing his wheel to Peroni there. Clearly was Keyless. When will Keyless be able to try and make the move? We've seen him so good. Drop back to 4th place at one stage in this lead battle. Dimnia Keyless working his way through, back through on Piqueras and Munoz, which is a pretty tough task these days in Moto3. Closing in now, then he goes on your race leader Peroni.
If you're going to make a move around here, it has to be clean. You have to make it stick, otherwise you're going to cost yourself all kinds of momentum. I don't think that was an attempt from Keyless. That's just his line into turn 11. Yeah, Rueda at the moment, yeah, he's sitting 5th, but I think he'd take this if you put the flag out now, just losing those 2 points to Piqueras.
Yeah, it's the risk over reward strategy right now, isn't it? The risk-reward ratio as far as Rueda is concerned. How much is he willing to throw it on the line here for what, 3-4 points maybe extra in his pocket? He will have to be mindful surely of that as we come on to the penultimate lap very shortly. Peroni's done so much front running in the 2nd half of this Grand Prix. 2 to go then here in Balaton. Peroni once again about 1/4 of a second clear of Keyless.
Something on the racetrack there. You can just proceed off the racing line into turn 1. So unless someone has a big dive up the inside into turn 1, they're not going to run over that. You can see the straight marks on the racetrack from Borosato's crash yesterday. Once again, Keyless favouring a bit of a tighter inside line, but he's got to figure out a move as Scott Ogden goes down for the second time in this Grand Prix. He's at the back of the field. Our focus, though, in the last lap and a half is what's going on at the front.
Yeah, look at the gap that Pironi has. He's squeezing a tenth of a second out of Keyless now. On the brakes we go into 5. Just over a lap and a half remaining then here in Hungary. You have to say, somebody's going to have to work really hard to take this away from Pironi, because he just looks unflustered, unflappable at the front of this Grand Prix.
Pironi stays online, makes no mistakes. I think he might have this. You can see how many risks Keyless is taking on the brakes to try and get up onto the rear tyre of him. Is he going to go for a big lunge into turn 11? As mentioned, you just favour that inside line, but Pironi gets that KTM hooked up and fired up out of some of these slower corners, and he just pulls away from the 28.
How late was Keyless braking going into the 9 and 10? He just started to gobble up the ground ahead of him, and now he's right on the rear tyre once again of Pironi. We know how good as well Keyless has been in the 4th sector. They dart their way now through at 14 we go into the final chicane complex. Pironi and Keyless are just threatening to drop Munoz, Piqueras and Rueda behind them here.
Is this going to be win it or bin it for Max Keyless? Is he prepared to throw it all on the line to try and take victory? You've got to make sure you stay off the green on this final lap, because that could be crucial. It's a rookie shootout on this final lap between Pironi and Keyless.
Last lap on the way, and them our first Hungarian Grand Prix in 33 years in Moto3, and Keyless is going for it. He's attacking on the inside. Pironi slams the door shut in his face. He drops the KTM across the Aspar KTM. That was way by Pironi. He's gone wide though, coming through 2. He's going to just once again drop across the nose of Keyless. This is an intense late battle between 2 big future superstars in Moto3, surely. Pironi still has it as they climb out of turn 4.
Some serious bravery being shown there. Pironi was more than prepared just to slam it over the front tyre of Keyless, who now gets on the inside into turn 5, but can he get that KTM stopped?
Has he timed this to perfection? Keyless has got his stopped, and that's his turn now to chop across the nose of Pironi. Pironi trying to retaliate now as we go through 7 and now through 8. Another overtaking opportunity here on the chicane into 9, 10 we go. Pironi not close enough.
Keyless has a track limits warning. Pironi goes in hot into the first part of that chicane, and that's going to cost him all his momentum.
Yeah, it's going to cost him all of his exit speed. That could be the key moment on this final lap. But just like, look how good he is on the brakes. Look how much corner speed he carries going through turn 11. Is he running out of time here? Has Keyless got this one covered?
If he can get safely through turn 15, he should have this. He looked like he was a little bit cautious into the chicane, and Pironi closed the gap again. Can he attack into this final chicane?
And is Munoz going to resist? Piqueras will take a 5th successive podium. Pironi has got the drive into the final chicane we go. Keyless has been so good on the brakes. Keyless now surely will have it. It's going to be a dart.
Oh, maybe not.
Oh no, into the final corner we go. This is brilliant by Pironi. Keyless cuts through the inside line. They go side by side. Oh, an elbow bar. Over the line we go, and it is Keyless. Keyless, who wins a Balaton belter in Moto3. What a race. What a last lap, what a last corner that was. It was knees, elbows, shoulders and fingernails out, wasn't it, over the line between Keyless and Pironi. Oh, that was an epic battle. Hungarian fans, you've had to wait 33 years for Grand Prix action in your country. Well, sure, that was well worth the wait, because once again, Moto3 delivers and some. Keyless takes it by not even 0.02 of a second. What a last lap this was. This was going into turn 5, 12 corners left at this stage. We felt that there was going to be another twist in the tail. There certainly was. Into the final chicane we go.
Check this out from Pironi on the inside of the final corner. He gets the run through 15 and 16. Keyless is just focusing on getting this chicane right. He just about gets it right. Look at the run that Pironi gets. He just carves up the insiders. Munoz and Piqueras nearly tripped over each other. Up the inside into the final corner. They bash elbows on their way to the line. And Keyless, who won by 6,000 in Mugello, wins by 18,000 in Hungary.
Photo finish. There was a big elbow out there, wasn't there, from Pironi. Look at this, watch his left elbow. Yeah, there you go. Take that, Keyless. Well, that was an epic, thrilling finish to another unbelievable 20-lap Moto3 Moto3 race. 2025 has served up some classics. That was some way to cap a 250th Moto3 battle. Oh, brilliant. Munoz, well, he got to the entrance to the final chicane all wrong, and Piqueras almost ran into the back of him. Munoz did come out the right side of that particular battle to take his 5th successive podium. First Spaniard to do that in 3 years. Since Ethan Guevara. Piqueras had to settle the 4th. Rueda is 5th. Top 6 completed by Adrian Fernandez. Top 10s for Almanza, Kelso, Carpe and Ralston. Points for Foggia, Carraro, Casey O'Gorman, his first World Championship points, next to 13th headed Yamanaka and Uriarte. Well, that was some finish. What an unbelievable ending to the Hungarian Grand Prix. Won ultimately by Max Quiles. Let's get the thoughts of the boss, Nico Duran.
Nico, congratulations. Have you caught your breath? Has your heart rate gone down yet? What a last lap.
What an incredible last lap. He did an incredible job, unbelievable job from Massimo's side. I think at the end with the soft tire he struggled a little bit more than Perrone, but this victory is super nice with this incredible group, with Munoz, with also Perrone. Congratulations for him because he did a very good job also, and Piqueras and Massimo is super strong rider, and we are super happy.
Great job, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, an awesome job, phenomenal job by Max Quiles. Second Grand Prix victory in his 10th appearance. He had to do it the hard way, and as Nico Duran pointed to, that was not easy. That was far from easy, because Perrone potentially had the upper hand in those crucial final laps with that medium Pirelli rear tyre. That was super close. A photo finish over. I'm looking forward to seeing just how tight it was. 0.018 of a second as Max Quiles comes to park firmly. Well, we've waxed lyrical so many times already in his opening 10s Grand Prix in the Moto3 World Championship. He's going to create so many more headlines once again. Second in Silverstone's first career podium. Second in Aragon, a brilliant breakthrough first victory in Mugello. Couple of second places recently in the Sachsenring and in Renault. He was not settling for second here, was he, today at all, as he really toughed it out. They were super aggressive with each other, weren't they, over the line? Perrone certainly was, as he got the elbow out, properly nerved and barged into Quiles. Rueda misses the podium. It's back-to-back 5th places for the World Championship leader, but in terms of his championship, no serious damage done.
Only loses 2 points, down to 69 from 71. The advantage for Rueda to Piqueras. Quiles is now just 17 points behind Piqueras. And remember, Quiles missed 4 Grand Prix this season, 2 because he wasn't old enough, and 2 because he was injured. Where might he be in the battle for the World Championship had he been old enough to start this season in Thailand?
Yeah, you kind of fear for the Moto3 opposition in 2026, don't you? Given just how strong Quiles has been in the early part of his Grand Prix career. David Munoz didn't have the pace late on to get close to Quiles and Perrone on that last lap. That just shows the outstanding job that Quiles and Perrone were doing ahead of him, but it is a continuation, an extension of his brilliant recent record. Munoz podiums now in Assen, Sachsenring, Renault, Red Bull Ring, and here in Hungary. And of course, we should pass on our huge congratulations once again to Balaton Perrone. Second podium in the last 5 Grand Prix for the Argentinian. Piqueras, it was close, really close between him and Munoz in that final sector. They almost had big contact coming through turn 17. Over the line, not even a tenth splitting the 2 Spaniards. But here he is, Max Quiles. No point really saying remember the name now, because you're already very familiar with the 17-year-old Spaniard, who of course is under the guidance of a certain Alex Marquez in MotoGP. He is destined for great things, isn't he? Is young Quiles. 5 successive podiums then for David Munoz. He's still firmly in the hunt for the top 2 in the World Championship. Let's get his thoughts with Jack.
David, a great run continues. 5 podiums in a row in a fierce fight, but just looking at the rear tyres, it's obvious that soft of yours is absolutely destroyed. Just how difficult was it to manage at the end of the race?
Yeah, in the end of the race, difficult for me because in the braking, a lot of sliding, it's not possible stopping the bike good. And maybe this is the problem for today because it's not possible fighting with Perrone and Killer for the victory, but well, third position more is very good for the championship. Follow this way for the future. Follow this way for Barcelona is very important for the championship. But we'll see in the next race. Thank you to the team for all the work. Next week more.
Great ride, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, another great ride by David Munoz. But let's not forget, he did not score a single point in the opening 3 Grand Prix. This was his last lap drama, charging in hot into that final chicane, as we saw there. Piqueras almost clattered into the back of him as they swept through 15 and 16. Lost a lot of momentum, didn't he, at that point, Munoz? Likewise, so did Piqueras, who just misses out on back-to-back podiums, does our Spielberg win, and that's how close it got. I think we could say, or we can say, it got even closer between Quiles and Perrone as they, ahead of these two, were in their own personal duel for the victory, eventually taken by Quiles. Show of respect there between Munoz then and Perrone, as we're going to hear very, very shortly from Balaton. I think it's going to be too long before this young rider is going to be talking to Jack as a Moto3 race winner. Second in a Balaton Classic. Let's get his thoughts with Jack.
Valentin, what a brilliant ride. You obviously got the tyre choice correct and gave everything on that final lap. When you managed to get through at the final corner, did you think that was it? I've done enough.
I know it in the straight, he exits super fast from the last corner, and I know it, if I overtake there, maybe he overtake me, but well, this is racing. It was the only place I could pass him in the last lap because he was super fast, and well, at the beginning I suffered a lot because I chose the SC2 because yesterday morning I tried the SC1 and in 8 laps I destroyed the tire, so we said with the team, okay, we have to reach the first laps with the C2. We know it's a bit more slower, but I tried my best in the first lap to follow Maximo because his pace was incredible, doing 45.9, 46.0. It was amazing. And then when I saw he started to mistake a bit because he couldn't maintain the rhythm, I said, okay, now it's my turn to do my pace. I was constant on 46.6, 46.5, 7 like this, and without making mistakes. And finally in the last lap I know he's gonna overtake me, and then before I was thinking, okay, if I'm second, where is the place to overtake him? And I said, or in the last chicane or in the last corner, and I saw he didn't exit super good, so I said, okay, now it's my turn. But well, in the exit he passed me for nothing, but well, I enjoy a lot the race. I would like to say also thank you to my team. They made an amazing job during all the weekend, and also I train a lot in the summer with the rider formation, also with one of my trainers, Dani Valle. I would like to say, vamos Dani, un saludo, vamos! And nothing, thank you to my family and to everyone who support me.
Another great performance, well done.
Thank you.
An adrenaline-fueled interview. He's on cloud 9 right now, isn't he, Perrone? On cloud 9, even though he didn't take what some will say would have been a very, very deserved first victory in Moto3. Excellent ride. What a character is Perrone. Looking forward to seeing how his career develops over the next few years. Best at Moto3 finish in second. Third he was in Assen. Second here today. Surely not too long before we're putting a number 1 in the column next to the 17-year-old riding for Red Bull KTM Tech 3. Done a lot of leading, the most leading he's done in the Grand Prix in that race, and that's going to be just gold in terms of his experience for the future. You can see how hard Max Quiles was having to work with the soft Perrone rear tyre compared to Perrone's. A lot of wear, particularly on the left-hand side of that rubber. Shows just how demanding at times this Balaton Park circuit is. But some weekend for Max Quiles, pole position and a sensational win here at Balaton Park. Let's get his thoughts with Jack.
Max, huge congratulations. What a win that is. To find something on the final lap when you were clearly struggling for grip. Just how tough was it to make that move?
Yeah, so difficult. Really difficult race. I knew I had a bit more than everybody, so I started to push at the beginning. I knew the tire was going to drop, so I said, if I push and I open gap, then when they try to catch me, their tire is going to break as well. So we were in equal condition. But yeah, really difficult. I could open the gap with the other riders, but then the tire came and it braked so early, like I had no grip, so they catch me again. It was difficult. At the end, I saw that Perrone was really fast at the end of the race. He had different tire as well, so I said, I'm going to keep an eye on him, that maybe he goes. So I go behind him. Yeah, the last lap was so nice. I enjoyed a lot. Really clean. I overtake. Then I got a bit of bad exit, so I knew he was going to overtake. I said, okay, pass, and then I pass you. So yeah, it was like in Spanish we say lacito, like he goes inside and I go on the other. Yeah, like a comeback. So happy. I want to dedicate this race to Pau. That he was a really good friend, and last time in Austria I couldn't do a podium, but now this is for him, this victory. I'm so happy. Thank you.
Another great ride. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, some great words there from Max Quiles. He is smart, he is fast, he has all the attributes, doesn't he, to go all the way to the top one day in the future, does Quiles. What a finish that was to the Moto3 race here at Balaton Park. Quite literally, elbow to elbow, knee to knee action as they came out of the final corner. Just watch Perrone's left arm here as he fights for clear space. He fights for his first career victory. He's been begging for the checkered flag to be coming, 10 metres earlier. But as he said, that's racing. It's hard. It is hard. It's on the limit. But the pair of them just said, that's what it's all about. This is a ruthless business. I think it was Max Biaggi once said, it's not ballroom dancing.
If Max Quiles isn't bothered by it, then I don't think any of us should be. That's really what it's all about. That's Moto3 in a nutshell. Two rookies who are going to do a lot of winning in their Grand Prix careers. On this day, it's win number 2 for Max Quiles. Win number 1 for Valentin Perrone has to wait. He'll wait for very much longer. It's a second home Grand Prix coming up in a couple of weeks for Perrone to spend an awful lot of his time in Barcelona, does the Argentine. Standing battle between the two. Max Quiles, yet still end this season as your World Championship runner-up. As mentioned, he moves to within 17 points now of Piqueras for second place. With Piqueras 69 points behind Jose Antonio Rueda with 8 races remaining.
I wonder where that fan of Perrone's from. Great to see the Argentinian national flag so close to history today, wasn't he, Perrone? Not even 200ths of a second away from being the first ever rider from Argentina to win a lightweight world championship battle. What was it? Not even probably half a bike length over the finish line between Quiles and Perrone. But let's enjoy and let's savour a Moto3 podium here in Hungary.
And here's Nico Tirol, 125 world champion back in 2011, who will accept the winning constructor prize. He's becoming quite a regular visit to the podium for David Munoz. 5 in a row for him now. His 7th podium of the season. Second podium for Valentin Perrone. Such a baby face. Boy, did he flex his muscles in that Grand Prix. Having a whole new meaning on getting your elbows out in a Grand Prix. He couldn't quite deny Max Quiles in the end. Danny Holgado there, of course, a multi-time Moto3 winner himself, who's already leathered up, getting ready to head out for his Moto2 encounter shortly. Nico Tirol takes the prize, which he dedicates to the whole Aspar team. Looking pretty smart about their decision to sign up Max Quiles. Well, Hungarian motorsport royalty and a former 125 champion in his own right. Gabor Tamashi presents the third place trophy to David Munoz. feel if there's anyone in this paddock who has dearly wanted the greatest show on two wheels to return to this country, it is Gabor, world champion in the 125 class some 18 years ago. He will win one day, will Balaton Peroni. About for 18 thousandths of a second that day would have been today, but he has to wait at least another fortnight, because today is Max Quiles' day. Elbow to elbow out of the final corner. It came down to a photo finish, but the battle of the rookies goes the way of Max Quiles.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand and listen to the national anthem of the winner, the national anthem of Spain.
Front of his very proud parents, Max Quiles is your winner of the Michelin Grand Prix of Hungary in Moto3, and he did it in a last lap, a last corner thriller. That was brilliant, wasn't it? From both Quiles, Peroni, well, from all of our top three. Fantastic way then to kick off our first Hungarian Grand Prix race day in over 3 decades. Let's hope we get more of the same in Moto2 and MotoGP coming up later on this afternoon. But for the second time in 2025, your race winner is Max Quiles.
Just 18 thousandths of a second between them. Quiles has now won the 2 closest finishes in 2025. Balaton Peroni second. Another podium for David Munoz. That's now 5 in a row. Angel Piqueras 4th, so he does gain some ground on Jose Antonio Rueda, who finished 5th. Points for the likes of Dennis Foggia and Nicola Carraro. First World Championship points for Casey O'Gorman. Congratulations to him. Surely we will see much more of him on a Grand Prix grid. Guido Pini was up inside that top 6, got a long lap penalty and then crashed whilst trying to serve it. Time for Rosato, another retirement after he crashed at turn 2. Scott Ogden crashed twice. Jose Antonio Rueda then sees his World Championship lead cut again, although it's only 2 points off his lead at the start of the day. 69 the advantage. Max Quiles goes back ahead of David Munoz into 3rd. KTM remain unbeaten in 2025. The top Honda across the line today with Adrian Fernandez, the gap 181 points. And in the team standings, Red Bull KTM IO 125 points clear of Frinza MT Helmets MSI, of course. Piqueras scoring for them. Ryusuke Yamanaka delayed heavily by that first crash for Scott Ogden. Certainly built up to a cracking finale here at Balaton Park. Well, Max Quiles might have led right at the end and led at the front, but wasn't exactly the smoothest route to victory from there. Jose Antonio Rueda, the World Championship leader, starting from 8th on the grid, looking to make some early progress as Piqueras and Munoz got acquainted with each other. Peroni, who had started from the front row of the grid, was making his way back towards the leading battle after a slightly shaky start. That was him trying to get through on David Munoz. A crucial mistake into the chicane. Looked like he might have undone all of Max Quiles' hard work. He dropped down to 4th place. He was trying to launch a counter-attack. Peroni hit the front, and we thought potentially decisively. Quiles regaining 2nd place from David Munoz. Munoz would remain in 3rd for the rest of the Grand Prix. But it all came down to these two on the final lap. 73 versus 28. Quiles seizing the high ground on the way into turn 5. After an inventive move in the final sector, Pironi threatened a shock victory on this final lap as they went elbow to elbow on their run to the line. Pironi putting it all on the line, but Max Quiles taking victory by half the length of a bike. Quiles with his second victory of the season. Pironi a fine second. Rueda wins the World Championship by 69 points.
Hungary fans have been starved of MotoGP action for over 3 decades, but the world's elite riders are ready to battle for glory. The new Balaton Park circuit. It's the third